In the heart of a forgotten city, where the lights barely shine and hope is a rare luxury, lives Maria, a 40-year-old widow. Every morning, she faces the relentless challenge of supporting her only treasure, her 7-year-old son. Maria spends her days rummaging through junk at a landfill, searching for anything of value to ensure a meal on the table. But she never imagined that amidst the trash, she would find something that would change their lives forever. On an ordinary day, while searching through scraps and debris, Maria came across a sight that made her stop, a severely injured man lying beside a suitcase full of money. Her heart raced, torn between the desperation of her reality and the urgent need to save a life. Without hesitation, she made a decision that would reveal the true character of her soul. This is the story of a woman whose courage and integrity proved that, even in the darkest circumstances, the light of kindness can shine brightly. Get ready for an emotional tale of discoveries, redemption, and a transformative legacy. But before we begin, please subscribe to the channel to receive all the stories we post here. Leave a like to help us out, and don't forget to comment on what you thought of the story. Now let's dive deep into this story. As the sun peeked over the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, the widow Maria followed her usual path to the landfill. Her son, Miguel, was still asleep, and she hoped to bring something valuable back before he woke up. With determined steps and a keen eye, she meticulously searched through mountains of trash and scrap, looking for anything she could sell. That morning, however, something different caught her attention. Amidst piles of debris, something glimmered unusually. Maria approached cautiously, her heart beating faster with the anticipation of finding something valuable. As she got closer, she realized it wasn't just a shiny object. It was a suitcase. A large, sturdy suitcase, partially hidden under some pieces of metal. When she tried to pull the suitcase, Maria discovered something even more surprising. There was a man lying next to it, apparently unconscious and visibly injured. His clothes, though dirty and torn, indicated he didn't belong in that place. His face was bruised, and there was dried blood on his forehead. She felt a mix of fear and compassion, fear of the unknown, but compassion for a fellow human being clearly in need. Maria knelt beside the man, trying to wake him with gentle touches and soothing words. "Sir, are you okay? Can you hear me?" she asked repeatedly. The man only groaned in response, not opening his eyes. Maria realized she needed to act quickly. She stood up and ran to the nearest road, where she finally got a phone signal to call an ambulance. While waiting for the ambulance to arrive, Maria returned to the landfill, worried about the man's condition. She felt a lump in her throat, thinking about how someone could end up in such a situation. Looking closer, she noticed the suitcase again. Curious, but keeping her distance, she wondered what it might contain. Was it something of great value, or just more junk like what she collected daily? Minutes felt like hours until the ambulance siren broke the morning silence. The paramedics quickly arrived at the scene, tending to the man and preparing him for transport. Maria watched everything closely, hoping he would be okay. One of the paramedics thanked her for her quick and careful action, noting that the man would have had little chance of survival without her intervention. After the ambulance departed, Maria held the suitcase firmly in her hands. The weight of it wasn't just physical. It carried the responsibility of doing the right thing. Without hesitation, she decided to take the suitcase to the local police station, a small brick building in the city center. With determined steps but a racing heart, she crossed the still, quiet streets of the morning. Entering the police station, Maria was met with the curious gaze of Sergeant Almeida, a middle-aged man with a serious but fair demeanor. She approached the counter and, in a firm voice, explained how she had found the injured man and the suitcase at the landfill. The sergeant listened attentively, his eyes alternating between Maria and the mysterious suitcase she held. With a gesture, the sergeant called over a young officer to open the suitcase in front of them. When the lock finally gave way, the sight before them was staggering. Stacks of money, meticulously piled, filled the suitcase. The young officer's eyes widened, and the sergeant maintained his composure, though visibly surprised. Maria, for her part, observed everything with impressive calm. Despite the turmoil she felt inside, Sergeant Almeida closed the suitcase and looked back at Maria, a mix of respect and admiration in his eyes. "You did the right thing, ma'am. Your honesty is admirable," he said, his tone making his sincerity clear. Maria simply nodded, feeling a sense of relief mixed with the uncertainty of what would come next. The officers documented the incident in detail, noting every word Maria said about finding the man and the suitcase. She provided all the information she could, describing the location and the condition of the injured man. The sergeant assured her that the police would investigate the origin of the money and the man's identity, promising to keep her informed of any updates. Before leaving, Maria glanced one last time at the suitcase, now under police custody. She knew her life would never be the same after that day. She had done what she believed was right, even without knowing how it would affect her future. As she left the station, she felt lighter, as if an invisible weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Maria returned home, where Miguel awaited her with an innocent smile, unaware of the complexities of the adult world. She hugged him tightly, feeling a deep gratitude for having him in her life. At that moment, she knew that regardless of what happened next, she had set an example of honesty and integrity for her son, and that, to her, was more valuable than any amount of money. Some days had passed since the incident at the landfill. Maria returned to her routine of searching for scrap, but now with a sense of anxiety. She often found herself thinking about the injured man and what had happened to him. One day, her phone rang while she was at home. The voice on the other end was from the hospital. "Mrs. Maria, we have someone here who would like to see you." At the hospital, Maria was greeted by a nurse who led her to a private room. There, lying in a bed, was the man she had found. His wounds were well cared for, and he looked much better, though still weak. When she entered, he opened his eyes and smiled. "You must be Maria," he said, with a soft but grateful voice. Maria approached the bed and the man extended his hand. "My name is Antonio. I don't know how to thank you for what you did for me." Maria was speechless for a moment, just holding his hand. "I did what anyone would do," she replied humbly, though she knew that not everyone would have made the same decision. Antonio, with the help of the doctors, began to tell his story. He was a businessman who had made many enemies over the years, not just in the business world, but also in his personal life. On that fateful night, he had been attacked and left for dead. "But thanks to you, Maria, I'm here. You gave me a second chance," he said, his eyes shining with emotion. During his recovery, Antonio and Maria spent a lot of time together. He shared stories of his life, the ups and downs of his career, and the choices that had led him to that situation. Maria listened attentively, feeling a mix of pity and curiosity. She knew there was more to his story than he was revealing. Antonio quickly realized that Maria was a woman of great integrity and strength. He began to trust her, not just as his savior, but as someone who could help him find redemption. "I need your help, Maria. I need to right many wrongs, and I want you by my side on this journey," he said one day, with a seriousness that Maria couldn't ignore. Over time, Maria accepted Antonio's request. She knew it would mean significant changes in her life, but she also saw an opportunity to do something meaningful. She continued to visit Antonio regularly, helping him not just with his daily needs, but also by listening and offering advice. Antonio, in turn, began to show signs of true recovery, not just physically, but also emotionally. Days turned into weeks, and Antonio's recovery progressed by leaps and bounds. He was stronger, more determined, and above all, more grateful for the new chance Maria had given him. Together, they began to plan for the future. a future where both could make a difference and perhaps find redemption for Antonio's past mistakes. As the months passed, Maria and Antonio formed a bond that neither of them had expected. What began as an act of kindness and compassion evolved into a partnership based on trust and mutual respect. Antonio, now fully recovered, spent his days alongside Maria, not just as her benefactor, but as a friend and advisor. Every morning, Maria would arrive at Antonio's house to help him with daily tasks and to discuss the plans he had to right his past wrongs. They spent hours talking about life, business, and the importance of doing the right thing. Antonio shared with Maria stories of his youth, his aspirations, and the decisions that led him to become a successful businessman, but also the failures and regrets he had accumulated over the years. One sunny afternoon, while sitting in the garden, Antonio revealed to Maria his desire to make amends for the harm caused by his past actions. He knew he had hurt many people in his pursuit of success and wealth. "Maria, I need your help to find these people and try to make peace with them," he said, looking into her eyes with a sincerity that deeply touched Maria's heart. Maria agreed, understanding the importance of this mission for Antonio. Together, they began listing the people he had wronged, and Maria helped track them down. They wrote letters, made visits, and in some cases, offered financial compensation or support to those who had been most affected. With each gesture of reconciliation, Antonio felt a bit lighter, as if a tremendous weight was being lifted from his shoulders. During these journeys, Maria and Antonio learned more about themselves and each other. Maria discovered that despite his tough exterior, Antonio had a kind and remorseful heart. He, in turn, admired Maria's unwavering strength and compassion, and the way she always put others before herself. This mutual admiration strengthened their bond, transforming it into something deep and enduring. Miguel, Maria's son, also became an important part of this new dynamic. Antonio treated him with affection and respect, often telling him stories and teaching him valuable life lessons. Miguel, who was initially shy around Antonio, gradually opened up, seeing him as a father figure and a friend. The bonds between Maria, Antonio, and Miguel grew stronger, forming a kind of unconventional but deeply connected family. Each day they spent together was a testament to the power of redemption, forgiveness, and the strength of human relationships. Inspired by Maria, Antonio decided that his new mission in life would be not only to repair his own mistakes, but also to help others find their path to redemption and peace. Winter arrived, bringing with it a biting cold that contrasted with the warmth of the friendship between Maria, Antonio, and Miguel. Despite his recovery and the renewed energy he had shown in recent months, Antonio began to show signs of fatigue and weakness. Medical appointments became more frequent, and Maria felt a growing concern. On an especially cold night, Antonio called Maria for a serious conversation. Sitting in the living room illuminated by a crackling fireplace, he held her hands with a weak but firm grip. "Maria, I feel my time is running out. I want you to know how much you and Miguel mean to me. You have given me a second chance and a purpose I never expected to find," he said, his voice choked with emotion. Maria tried to hold back her tears, knowing he was right. "You have changed our lives too, Antonio. I don't know how to thank you for everything," she replied, squeezing his hands tightly. Antonio smiled sadly, but also with gratitude. He knew that Maria and Miguel were his redemption, living proof that he could do good. The days that followed were difficult. Antonio grew weaker, and Maria stayed by his side, caring for him with unwavering dedication. Miguel, although young, understood the gravity of the situation and showed surprising maturity, supporting his mother and spending time with Antonio whenever he could. One morning, Maria entered Antonio's room and found him resting peacefully. His breathing had ceased, and he looked more serene than ever. She approached, held his hand one last time, and whispered a prayer of thanks for having known him. Miguel, realizing what had happened, joined her, and together they mourned the loss of a man who had become a vital part of their lives. Antonio's funeral was simple but meaningful. People he had helped and reconciled with over the past few months attended to pay their respects. Maria gave an emotional speech, highlighting the legacy of kindness and redemption Antonio had left behind. "He found peace by helping others and taught us the true value of compassion and forgiveness," she said, with tears in her eyes. After the funeral, Maria and Miguel returned home, where they found an envelope left by Antonio. Inside, there was a letter and some documents. In the letter, Antonio expressed his wish for Maria and Miguel to continue the work they had started together. He had left a significant portion of his fortune to them, with clear instructions on how to use it to create a foundation dedicated to helping families in need. Maria felt a mix of sadness and determination. The loss of Antonio was painful, but she knew he had entrusted her with an important mission. With Miguel by her side, she decided to honor Antonio's memory in the best way possible, by continuing his legacy of kindness and redemption. With the financial support left by Antonio, Maria and Miguel founded the Antonio Pereira Foundation, dedicated to helping families in difficult situations, offering not only financial support, but also rehabilitation and social reintegration programs. The foundation became a beacon of hope in the community, reflecting Antonio's generous and redemptive spirit. Each day at the foundation was a reminder of the man who had changed their lives forever, and so, through the work of Maria and Miguel, Antonio's legacy continued to touch and transform many other lives, perpetuating the most valuable lesson he had learned: the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and redemption. Years passed, and the Antonio Pereira Foundation grew and flourished, helping countless families rebuild and find new opportunities. Maria and Miguel dedicated their lives to this mission, transforming the sadness of loss into a driving force for good. The foundation became a reference point in the community, a symbol of hope and transformation. Maria, now with gray hair, looked at everything they had achieved with immense pride. She often reflected on how a simple act of kindness at the landfill had triggered a series of events that changed their lives forever. Miguel, who grew up surrounded by stories of resilience and overcoming adversity, became an inspired and determined young man. He followed in his mother's footsteps, taking on a leadership role in the foundation. His passion for helping others and his commitment to Antonio's vision were evident in every project he led. For Miguel, the foundation was more than a legacy. It was an extension of his own family and the values he had learned from Maria and Antonio. One quiet afternoon, while reviewing the foundation's documents, Maria found the letter that Antonio had left for her and Miguel. She reread the words with affection, feeling his presence still alive in every line. Antonio's words were a constant reminder of the positive impact a life dedicated to compassion and forgiveness could have. That evening, the foundation organized an event in honor of the anniversary of Antonio's death. Community members, families who had been helped, and old friends gathered to celebrate his life and legacy. Maria took the stage to speak, her heart full of emotions. Antonio taught us that, regardless of our mistakes, there is always a chance for redemption. He believed that kindness can change the world, and he was right. Today, each of you is living proof of that, she said, her voice firm and full of conviction. After the speech, Miguel shared a few words, thanking everyone for their continued support and reaffirming the foundation's commitment to the principles Antonio had instilled. My grandfather's journey showed us that we can transform pain into purpose, and that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to change lives. We will continue to honor this legacy by helping those in need and spreading the message of compassion and hope, he said, emotional. As the night wore on, Maria and Miguel walked through the foundation's gardens, reflecting on everything they had built. Maria remembered the day she found Antonio at the landfill, and how that moment of kindness had transformed their lives in ways she could never have imagined. "We are doing what he wanted, Mom," Miguel said, squeezing her hand. Maria smiled, feeling a deep peace. The story of Maria, Antonio, and Miguel is a testament to the power of kindness, redemption, and the human capacity to transform pain into purpose. They showed that, even in the most challenging circumstances, we can make choices that not only change our lives, but also touch the lives of many others. The Antonio Pereira Foundation continues to be a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that with compassion and determination, we can make the world a better place. I hope you enjoyed this inspiring story about how an act of kindness can transform lives. If this story touched you in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Your participation is very important to us and helps us continue sharing stories that inspire and make a difference. Thank you very much for watching.